I'm running a little bit behind schedule today. How are you, darlings? Good morning. It is Thursday, June 26th, 2025. We are here. It is hot. So much is going on, but we've got to get started. It is Love is Thursday. Love is Thursday? Right. With Cherie Syfax. I am 2 days away from going on vacation, and let me tell you, I am super duper happy. I have something to do on Monday morning for a client, and then I am out this chumpy. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning, Bobby Carr. Good morning, darling. How are you? Happy Thursday. I'm praying that the heat has officially broken for all of us. It was so incredibly hot yesterday. I said to my husband, I can't do it. Air is on all over the house, and I still felt hot on the second and the third floor. So I came down to the first floor. He turned on the fan as high as he could go, and I was just like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. But this morning we woke up to a very cool house. So hopefully the heat has broken and we can move on and do what we need to do. All right. So we have Love Is segment today. Good morning. Let me see. Beatrice sent me something. Hold on, y'all. I'm getting these text messages, and someone is asking us to pray for something. Happy birthday, Daniel Pinkett. How are you, darling? Good morning. Hold on. Wait a minute. She sent me a long message. Beatrice, you sent me a long message. There was a fire Monday night in the Courtyard Apartments at Riverview. Oh, wow. It started in the building on the second floor and it went to the fifth floor. Ooh, it's a high rise with 25 floors of seniors. Oh, my God. Okay. Okay, let me read this to you. Beatrice says, good morning, Marva. This is Beatrice. Marva, please ask the Morning family to pray for the seniors at 1020 South 4th Street, which is called the Courtyard Apartments at Riverview. There was a fire on Monday night in our building on the second floor, and it went to the fifth floor. We live in a high-rise 25 floors of seniors. We thought that we were only going to be out for a couple of hours out of our apartment. It turns out that we've been out since Monday evening. They sent some people to a shelter at Kensington Art High School. My friend invited me to come with her and her family in Lansdowne, but my point is, please, we just need some prayer, respect for the people that are at the school. No clothes, no ID, because we had no idea that it was going to turn into one night until now. And then we still can't go into the building. Ella and I closed the building and not letting anyone in for anything. So please just ask, not for me, but for all the others. First, they told us we could go in, that we could get back to our apartment in a couple of days. Now they're saying it may not be till next week. We're in the need of prayer. Thank you so much. She dictated to the phone, so something like that. All right, so pray for the folks who were in the Courtyard Apartments at Riverview. They had a fire on Monday night. According to Beatrice, they're still not able to get in. People have no clothes, no ID, no anything. I'm telling you, anything can happen at any time, and we just have to be always mindful and grateful. Pray for those people, please. They're all seniors too, right? 25 floors. So I can understand Ella and I wanted to make sure that it's safe enough for them to go back in. But I also understand they're feeling displaced and not, especially those who were sent to the high school, for shelter, for emergency shelter. This is where I say to you, stay in touch with your seasoned citizens. If stuff like this should happen, God forbid, that we have some place where they can go, where we can take care of them. Good morning, Winetta Smith. I see you praying for their safety. Good morning, Beatrice. There you are. Good morning, darling. Shaquilla, Alexandra, Nakia, Monica, Bobby. I see you all. Marguerite. Good morning to all of you. When I say mother is tired, every morning, yesterday morning, I got up and I was like, maybe I don't, but see, I'm committed to what I do. So I just couldn't just not be on the air with you all this morning, and I got to work out, so you already know what that's going to look like with good old Audra. By the way, folks have been talking to me about, I put up a post yesterday morning that I'm not working out to have a perfect body or to be a slender size 2. I'm working out, and I post every time I work out so that I can promote Audra's business. It's Beauty Fit Strong, and she's really very good at what she does. She only works with women, and she is very intentional about making sure that we don't get hurt. So while you see other folks, and she understands that I am incredibly strong. So there are days when I'll be lifting 200 and something pounds, but for the most part, she's really working on my rotator cuff, making sure that I'm able to move my limbs properly, making sure that my form is great, so that when I squat those heavy weights or when I'm pushing those heavy weights, I'm not harming myself. I am proud to say that am I in my second year of working out with her, that I have not had any injury, and she's very intentional about that. And so, I would suggest for those of you who are looking for, to do what I am doing, go work out with her. She does group sessions, right? So because of what I do and how persnickety I am, I work out with her. I do one-on-one sessions with her. But for the majority, you can either choose somebody to work out with you, 1 or 2 people, or you can work out in group session with her. They have Taekwondo. They have different classes at night. I can't do the night classes because I'm up at 3 o'clock every morning. And so I'm just not able to, in these Wacondan streets, work out at night. But she's really very good. And if you've been watching my progress, I've shifted from where I started to where I am now. Now, let me just say, I was born a muscular child. In 2011, when Blair Baxter first measured my fat versus my muscle, I was 96% muscle. So this is a genetic thing for me. When I first started with Audra, she did the same measurement. I backed down to about 86% muscle mass. So I build muscle, right? And even then, I'm muscular in tone. And even then, at almost 60 years old, it's taken me a way much longer to build the muscle that I have. So it's just this is for me. It's for health reasons, right? I've always been in the gym, even when I started working out way back then, 2008, 2009. It's because I'm hypertensive. It runs in my family, and diabetes runs in my family. So to stay off all the medications, I exercise and I lift weight. I remember the cardiologist saying to me, if you lift weights, you will save your life. And I think, and he was absolutely correct. And when I went back, he'd been seeing me every 6 months. Because here's the story. I was walking 6 miles a day to the Willow Grove Mall and back. And one day walking back, my whole left arm just felt numb. And I took myself to the hospital, and the heart doctor came in after about a couple of hours of doing a bunch of tests, and he said, I know you're exercising. He said, but the muscles in your heart are thickening because you're hypertensive, and you will not live to see 45 if you don't do something. Right. And he said, I don't know if you'll follow my advice, but I need you to start lifting weights. Lifting weights will help your heart, et cetera, et cetera. 2 years into this process, I went back to him, and the muscles in my heart had thinned out to normal. And he burst into tears. And he said, if everybody would listen, right? He said, this isn't always about medication. It really, truly is about just doing what's right for you. And oftentimes we think lifting weights, will bulk you up, et cetera, et cetera. As you age, you've got to lift weights. You're losing the estrogen in your body. You're losing muscle mass. And so that's how I'm saving my life. So when you see me posting in the gym, this is not about, it's really truly for me to share with you all what I'm doing, my progress, and helping you to save your life the way a cardiologist helped to save mine. So when I go and get echocardiograms, they're like, we could tell you're hypertensive, but your heart is doing really well. Like, it's beating well, the muscles are not thick, all of that other stuff. So please help to save yourselves. I've always been transparent with all of you so that you can see that this is not a fad for me, that this is not about, oh, well, let me just go ahead and, she in there working out. She's trying to get down to a size 2, bump the size 2. I'm not even trying to go there. I literally just want to stay healthy. And there are very many thin people that are as sick as a dog, and plenty of people who are thick and healthy. They don't have hypertension. They don't have high cholesterol. They don't. So we have to be careful not to judge. The only thing we want to do is to stay healthy. That's it. That is it. That's the ask. Tracy, good morning. Good morning. Thankful Thursday. Absolutely. The other thing that I've been sharing with all of you as I wait for Cherie to come on is this fan. Because some people have spaces where they don't have the open windows. Let's say it's a basement spot and the windows don't open enough for you to put an air conditioner in it. There's this fan that's being sold on Basil's website. And I hated to do it, but I'm thinking about all the people who are really, truly hot every single day. And the fan has a space that has water in it, and you can put ice blocks, right? Good morning, Kimberly Farrell. You can put ice blocks, the things that you use to cool off your food in your cooler, the blue things. So you can put frozen ice blocks in there and it blows like an air conditioner and covers a huge swath of space, right? And so I wanted to make sure that you all were able to access that. To the seniors that are in the high school, I'm sending lots and lots of prayers to all of you from the A.Lawful Truth family. Tell Beatrice, just let them know Marva's going to try and figure out how we can support them the best way that they can. But I also want them to know that you are safe. And your safety is what matters more than anything else, right? We just want to make sure that you're okay. What else is going on? Tomorrow is Mr. and I's anniversary again. This is anniversary 10.2. Today, I can see the memories of us landing in Rincon, landing in PR, and driving out to the western end in Rincon. And all my friends, were there when we were having a great time hanging by the beach and the water. And tomorrow is when we're really going to celebrate. I need to figure out a good place to take him to dinner. Yeah, we said take him to dinner. As Mr., he will do a diner and not even blink, but I want to take him to a really nice place. And then we both love to sing. So on Saturday, we're going to hang out with our friends and do karaoke, and then next week we're off. And he said to me yesterday, let's just go somewhere. I said, where do you want to go? He said, I don't care. Let's just go somewhere. So I love to drive. He loves driving with me. And we just like randomly getting in the car. We did this when we first started dating. Every Memorial Day, I would pick him up or he would come and get me, and we'd get in the car and we'd just point to places unknown, and we'd end up in different states doing different things. Sometimes we had a change of clothes, sometimes we didn't, but we'd spend overnight in the hospital, spend overnight in a hotel. We would laugh and cackle, just eat, stop in random places. I like doing that. He loves doing that with me, so we're going to do that. We have committed ourselves to spending way more time together this year than we have in past years, because I have been traveling a lot and I just parked myself. Beep. Grandchildren, we have 4 grandchildren between us, and we're trying to do and hang out with family, especially since things have just gotten precarious over the last several months. I had a dream last night that the president of the United States had his people call and ask me to interview him. And I was in the middle of a project, wasn't dressed, and the interview had to be done in like the next hour or 2. So I had to find my way there. I didn't have hair or makeup done. And I was like, sir, I can't. He said, I want you to do the interview. And so I reached out to Randall Pinkett, Dr. Pinkett. He was with me and he says, I'll do the interview. And he's like, nope, nobody but Andrea. So just as I was sitting down to shake his hand, I jumped up in a cold sweat and I was like, wait, what the hell is going on here? And I could see his face, Donald J. Trump. I could see his face, everything. Like, I want you to interview me. I like your interview style. I want you to interview me. And I was like, sir. And I was sitting down. I went to sit down in the chair. He raised up to shake my hand. My hair wasn't done. My makeup wasn't done. And I was like, what am I doing? And why am I in this precarious position? And I jumped up out of my sleep. So I don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out, right? Viola said, I talked to Beatrice last night and this morning. We agreed to that. She'll call you. Okay. Marguerite says, Audra is a fantastic trainer and even better therapist. She talked us both through too much ish. Let me tell you something. Audra is the perfect person for me, I have to tell you, because I cuss. Easter, during Lent, when it was, Palm Sunday to Easter, I said, I'm giving up sweets. Audra says, you don't eat sweets, Andrea, so that's not a good thing to give up. And she looked at me, she says, I think you should give up cursing. I was like, girl, I ended up donating $200+ to Enon Tabernacle Butterscotch. I cussed. And because I couldn't cuss, I was cussing. It was so funny. She really is good. And she has a heart of gold. Like she knows us Oh my God. Oh, J.I. says, thank you so much for listening to your doctor. Oh, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. It's the same thing when I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I said to my primary care, just give me 6 months. Give me 6 months. She says, well, the average, particularly in the African American community, that we'll take the medication, but we won't do what we're supposed to do. Yeah, I'm still shocking them, right? I don't have to take any medication. My A1C stays well on the 6.5, and I monitor myself, and I choose what I eat, and then I make sure that I'm exercising. So please, if you don't even want to go to the gym, walking is good. Just get up every day and walk. Right after you eat, walk for 10 to 15 minutes. That's it, right? Um, oh Lord, Marguerite. Marguerite said that interview will happen sooner than you know. Praise the Lord and all the venerable ancestors. I don't know. There she is. I don't see you. Cherie, I don't see you, darling. There you go.
Good morning.
Good morning, honey bunny.
Happy anniversary. Happy
Thank,
anniversary.
thank you, sweetie pie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just us today, which is really nice because we get to get into all the things,
All what things?
everything. You know us. We can get into all sorts of trouble.
How does 10 years feel? What have you learned? How has it
Um, 10 years really felt like two. I am married to someone who is incredibly low key, incredibly unassuming, um, that gives me the space to be myself unless he sees me going off a damn cliff, right?
been?
Um, and there are days when I go off a cliff.
Mhm.
Let's just call it what it is, right? Um, and I've never been in a relationship where I felt like I could just 100% be myself. I've never been in a relationship like this where I could share he knows everything. You ever just get into a
Mhm.
relationship, Sheree, and go, maybe I won't share this part. I'm just going to hold on. Every relationship I had before this one, I was like, I don't know if I trust you enough to share all the things, right? My husband, I
Mhm.
share everything with him. If I feel
Mhm.
afraid or if I feel energized and he's very protective, people think he's a pushover. Mm-mm. Listen, them
Right.
quiet people, the quiet
Oh
ones,
yeah.
that don't say, okay, okay. Um, so I'm grateful to him. I'm grateful for him. I've been getting on his nerves a lot transparently because it's hot. I'm cranky. Menopause, his girlfriend menopause is here for a spell. And he'll say to
Mhm.
me, Andrea, if you would just take 2 more seconds before you say what you say, maybe, I won't be snapping it. I just like, please close the door. You're gonna let the air out. He turned and looked at me and was like, what's wrong with
Give
you?
me a minute. Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you take anything for your menopause?
Um, I have been offered estradiol, some kind of estrogen replacement that the doctor, in fact, I need to get on the phone with the OBGYN. She wanted me to take it for several weeks and then get on a phone call with her. Look at me telling all my business. I never took it because all I keep hearing is cancer, 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 right? And she says, you're
Oh.
safe for up to 4 years. I'm like, but I don't want to keep putting this thing in my system. And she said, right as you get to the fourth year, you have to stop because then your cancer, breast cancer increases, uterine cancer. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to
Right.
find natural ways to navigate this thing, but I am a beast when it hits me. Um,
Do you
exercising, huh?
do you a lot of my girlfriends are doing like hormone replacement and doing patches. I don't know if that's anything of interest. I have started getting the night, like getting hot at night. So
Yes.
I started just taking Mental Chill. It's by Black Girl Vitamins.
Okay.
Um, it was kind of a natural, holistic um, way of addressing it, but I take 3 pills a day, and it
Does it
seems
help?
yeah, I don't seem to be, and it's been hot, and I can't always sleep with the air on because sometimes the air just feels too frigid.
Hmm.
So I do turn off the air conditioner at night, and I've not had that whole thing where I need to just rip my blankets off of me.
Right.
And we haven't shifted. So I know it's summer, so don't, but we haven't shifted from our winter blankets to our summer blankets. We kind of have a weighted blanket
Yes.
in the
Hmm.
wintertime. and I'm still under it. So, because it just feels so good to sleep under it. So that might be something that you can look into. I'm not advertising, promoting, or supporting. I am not a doctor. None of those things. I'm just hey Marguerite. I'm just saying that that's what I'm using, and so far it seems to be something that is agreeing with me.
Yeah. I have found that as I continue to exercise, that the hot flashes are going away. So I don't have the
Okay.
hot flashes as much, but those mood swings are a beast,
Oh, okay. Okay.
right? Um, um, and so I've been trying to navigate that. And then there, with all the stuff that's going on around the country and having conversation with my family and trying to figure out what our plan is. And because baby, we all have a plan, right? And helping people who are calling and asking the questions, I'm yeah, so I'm learning, and I have not had a good night's sleep in a long time. So I'm
Mm,
grateful to Mr. Sanders. I really, truly am. He still sings to me. He sat out at Reggae Fest with me last week, and even though he was bored to death because he didn't understand none of what they were saying, but he was out there for several hours, that kind of stuff. So for me, it's like, what do you
yeah.
want? What can I do with you for you? Um,
Mhm.
so tomorrow is 10.2, the day where we really got married on the western end of Rincon, of Puerto Rico and Rincon. And so tomorrow is when we're really going to celebrate, right? And figure out what we're doing. You and I have in the last couple of weeks interviewed folks, and I really wanted to debrief with you. The
Okay.
first one was Marguerite. Um, no, it was
Actually,
Marguerite.
was
Marguerite was not the first one.
the single women
Yes, the single
were
women.
who
Yeah.
were um, who were navigating, or the single people, not just
Hmm.
only women, but who were navigating the single spaces.
Hmm.
And then Marguerite, and then
Yeah.
Nia.
Yeah. What are your thoughts over these last 3 weeks for the conversations that we've been having? The one with the singles was an eye opener for me. You clearly saw that the traumas led the way, right? They want to be in relationship, but the traumas that they had and then listen, they wasn't no normal trauma either. They were going through some things. How
Yeah.
do we? And I mean, you and I have experienced trauma. It's in your book, Second Act.
Mm.
Talk to me a little bit about what happens when you go through that level of trauma. How do you find a Tracy after trauma like the ones you went through?
Tracy After Trauma. That's a book name. Um, I think for me, and some of the women seem to be kind of starting to be in this phase. I had to stop looking outward and stop projecting kind of what other people were doing or did or didn't do or what have you, and really look inward as to either why I attracted it, why I accepted it, why I stayed in it, um, why I justified it, all those things. And I
Mhm.
think once I started getting there, then I didn't look at everybody else as someone untrustworthy or what have you. I had to learn how to start like really getting intimate with myself. And so then I trusted myself.
Mhm.
So then someone couldn't come to me with their traumas and their unhealed ways and disrupt the peace that I had created for myself. And so I think that was a big pivot and a big turning point for me. And the interesting thing is, it had zero to do with relationships of romantic nature. It had more to do with just how I was navigating relationships, period.
Mhm.
So whether it was the one with my mother, or it was the ones where I looked at my friendships, because I know you can't even fathom this, but I was kind of like the mean girl in my group. And when I say mean girl, not mean, but I was the judgmental one, or I was the one that would speak on all the things, always had to, correct people and and not bring their flaws, but I remember one of my girlfriends went on a trip with us, and then this is many, many, many years ago. We were in
Mhm.
Aruba, and she didn't have the money, so her parents were Western Union and her the money while we
Mhm.
were there. And we were young, very young, and we were in this hot little Western Union box. It felt like a hot box, waiting for her parents at Western Union her money. And I was just like, why would you come on a trip out of the country and not have money. And so I was that person that always said the obvious and what everybody else was really thinking, but said it without like a lot of filter.
Mm-hmm.
And and as a result, moving forward, she never did it again, but it hurt her feelings. And she's one of the sweetest people. And so that wasn't necessarily my intent. So I had to grow and figure out like, why did I have to always be the barometer or telling people, I was the older one of the group. So that was part of it. But some of it was just me feeling like I needed to, like, because I felt like I needed to always get like confirmation and affirmation from my mother, then I was just always that person, like, doing certain things. And I had to come around to a lot of that realization.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was able to come to that realization, I was able to kind of move forward and navigate in a much healthier way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started with my relationship with my mother. It started with, and then not that it was terrible, but my mom definitely had very high expectations of me, very high standards. I could do no wrong if I were to get be in her good grace. She had just had a very high expectation, which I'm glad she did. So like, and I don't even look at that as a negative per se, because this is who I am. It's why I am who I am today. I'm an overachiever. I am a hard worker. I am want to be, have a desire to be, and will be fiercely
Mm-hmm.
successful because of my mother. Hard stop. End
Mm-hmm.
of the sentence. However, that also breeds some other things that I had to learn how to
Mm-hmm.
reconcile in my adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that then helped me navigate friendship relationships. And once I got, I think, more comfortable in recognizing, acknowledging, and saying that out loud, like I can cheer for my girlfriends when they win versus, I would have did it differently, or just always having something to say. Life seemed to get lighter. And in that, then I got to look at every relationship like that
Mm-hmm.
and see the good and the truth in it. And then
That's
also
growth.
see the what was I what was I seeking in that relationship?
Mm-hmm.
What was I trying to, the relationship, the 10-year relationship with the lawyer? There was things around me being a single parent that I didn't feel good about. And why didn't I, what have I let society tell me, or the disappointment that maybe my mother had that I ended up being a single parent, like, and how was that playing into relationships? And so I kind of did that work with the coach, and just some things that I was reading, and just all kinds of things, putting myself in. Even my master's program, it was a very holistic approach to leadership, and it was based in mindfulness, which I started really doing that type of work, and that was the pivotal point that then said, "This is who I am. This is who I want. This is what I want to be." And this is how I want to show up in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and how I need people to show up in my world, whether that's friends, family, and professional relationships and romantic relationships. So it allowed me to set really clear boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime someone encroached those boundaries, I knew that that wasn't the person for me. Again, friend, professional, in all relationships. So it's a skill set for me that I think has helped in every corner of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it had to do with just getting real with some of my flaws.
Yourself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Getting real with
Mm-hmm.
some of my flaws.
Yeah.
So
If
that
you
was
could have,
what helped me.
if you could have done that again, over again, when she was standing in the Western Union, because in my head, Andrea's head, I was saying, I would have probably pulled her aside and said, "Is there something going on? How can we support you? Were you aware that?"
She's the one that's always late at the airport.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. What can we do differently for you to show up better so that we're not frustrated? You know what I mean? But the
Right. No,
but the
you're right.
but the 58-year-old Andrea says that now. I
I would
don't know if
move.
the 31-year-old, right?
Yes, we move very differently now.
Yes,
All of
yeah,
us. We
yeah.
have been friends forever. I love those people. Like, I love them like blood family.
Mm-hmm.
And we would I would say that so differently now.
Yes,
One, she wouldn't come if she couldn't afford to.
yeah.
And even now, she's like, "Girl," like, we're going to Martha's Vineyard, and my friend who's coordinating everything, we're buying her a really, really nice gift, and we all
Mm-hmm.
have to contribute. And the contribution amount, she was like, "Hey, this is my limit for contribution." I
Mm-hmm.
love her no less, but so I feel like I empowered people around me to speak
Hmm.
their truth, so that
Absolutely.
then people, because it sets the proper expectation, and sometimes we don't set the proper expectation. So I'm happy that it happened to an extent. I do not I don't want to ever hurt people that I'm with, and I know it did hurt her feelings. And she
Hmm.
got to like, I won't ever do it again because I hurt her feelings. And I
Hmm.
wish I could have gotten her there in a much gentler, healthier
Hmm.
way. But
Hmm.
hey, everything happens for a reason, and we are
Yeah.
all so much better. I mean, they tell me that all, and that's probably one little saving grace is they're like, we are so much better because of you. Like, because I pulled no punches. I
Hmm.
said, they were like, you were already old when we were still trying to figure stuff out. They were like, you was already old. I was already old and grown. My mom, I was in car parties when she would have car parties at home. I was just,
Hmm.
while she was in college, my grandparents had me, so I was this older soul. I was this person that I am today back then
Yeah.
without the wisdom.
Yeah. 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 Laverne says, you ever have a friend you can tell they aren't ready for the relationship they are seeking? I don't know if it's lack of softness or blocking because of unrealistic expectations, but it is something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think even those, because we've had those conversations too about relationships, because we've all, had different relationship journeys, and we have had those conversations. And to my point, I have so much more wisdom in my words, and I season them so much more with salt, as the Bible says, and so it just comes across and lands very, very differently, and it's more palatable.
Yeah. Um, so here's my confession. For the most part, I can have conversations with people and not leave them damaged or distressed. But there are days and times where
Yeah,
I'm going to give it to you
a
as my
lawful truth.
because if you are aware and you've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and people
Mhm.
are pedaling you because they're afraid to hurt your feelings, and people's
Yeah,
lives are at stake. Once people's lives are at stake, I'm at that line of, yeah, we're not doing this, right?
yeah.
And so it can sting, but I hear God saying to me, some days you just have to go there.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Um,
And Tracy and I talk about that a lot.
mhm, mhm,
Because there's a lot of people sometimes we want to be like, and I talk to him about like, okay, what's the truth? Like, what's the truth? And because he'll quiet very much like Mister,
mhm,
and just kind of like, well, I just want to interact with them, and I'm like, no, they need to know why though.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
because then they won't, because they're continually doing the same thing, and if
mhm.
we don't give them some lawful truth, they won't get, they'll take it, they'll continue to
And
do
and then send them to Booker's for a drink to calm their nerves.
yeah.
It's crazy. So my husband sent me something. He says, how to end arguments fast. 10 proven ways to diffuse tension early. One, practice active listening. Two, watch your tone and body language. I already done lost the game there.
Yeah.
'Cause
Tracy's like, your face. And I'm like, I didn't say that. He's like, but your face. I was like, I'm sorry.
I'm lost at number two. Three, identify triggers early.
Mhm,
Four,
mhm.
clarify intentions before making assumptions. Five, use I statements instead of you statements.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That is a big, and I'll talk about that when Tracy and I were
Okay.
talking.
We can address it. Go ahead. Use I statements instead of you statements. Go ahead and address that for me.
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone has heard this story, but when Tracy and I first started dating, and another thing is just kind of knowing yourself. And in that introspective period, I really got to know myself. Because a lot of times we don't take that time to really know ourselves because there's so much external stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing yourself. So I recognize I need a lot of attention in a romantic relationship. I
So
need
that's
it,
your love language.
desire it, I want it, and it is not a bad thing. People have vilified the
Mhm.
neediness and being, you want to feel needed, and all that is okay. And the so when he was first dating me, he was not being aloof, but he checked in periodically, but not all the time, and just things like that. And so I wasn't clear at first. And then he started saying, I really, really like you. And I was like, sir, you're not acting like you like me. I didn't say I'll tell him that, but to me, I wasn't interpreting his feelings and emotions as a lot of
Mhm.
like. It was a little bit more confusing because I'm like, he's saying he likes me, but he's not doing the things that I'm used to people who love me, my father, my grandpa, the men in my life, the healthy relationships in my
Mhm.
life. He's not doing those things.
Mhm.
So I had to sit him down and I have to say, you continue to profess how much you like me. And I love that. However, for me, I am an only child. I have been the center of people's universe.
And
What?
you were so serious about that.
Yes, very. To know yourself and why you navigate the world the way you do. I've been the center
Mhm.
of the universe for so many people. I am the favorite grandchild. I have lived with my grandparents where they have doted on me. I am my father's oldest and the most like him. That is my guy, and I am his girl. Men that like and love me show me attention, check on me daily. I've got to be in their thoughts regularly. And so far, that's not what I'm getting from you. I said,
What was he? What was he? What did he? What was his face like when you were telling him all of this?
well, it was on the phone because it was during COVID. So it
Okay,
wasn't,
okay, okay, okay.
you could hear him just be, and he said, I just needed permission. He said, I didn't want you to feel like I was stalking you. I didn't
Mhm.
want to cross boundaries. I wanted to be, this is all we met online. We're doing a
Mhm.
lot over the phone. I just wanted to show up not in a way that made you feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I said, stalking me makes me feel love. Like that attention, that level of attention is what and how I feel someone feels about me. And we had that conversation. So it was never about you don't call me enough,
Mhm.
you don't check on me enough. I don't know what you are doing. It was, I need this.
Mhm.
I am this way. I recognize it. I am
Mhm.
communicating to you what I need. It was not about him. So now you have this information,
Mhm.
do with it as you choose. And
Right.
then that will help us move forward because I'm not going to be confused about whether you like me or not.
Right.
I need to be clear. And
That you like me.
this is clarity for me.
And as you are in your relationship, you
Do.
just celebrated an anniversary. So
Yeah.
as you are now in your relationship, um, is it the same way? Do you still need that?
Oh yes. But we're he does it so naturally. So it
My husband said, AKA high maintenance.
hey, but you know,
He's listening. But at least you were able to speak your truth so that he understood what you needed in order to feel like you got what you were getting, right?
and when we
Yeah.
went to visit my mother that time, she confirmed everything I said. I
Really.
Yes, and it's so interesting for all of the thoughts that I thought felt like I wasn't meeting her expectations and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I was like the golden child, and went on about that. My grandparents, all the things, my dad with Tracy. So it really confirmed everything that I had said, during that time. But yeah, yes. But one, it came from me knowing myself, knowing what I
Yes.
needed. But two, far too often we don't communicate what
And then we're mad about what we don't
and we're
get with.
mad because we don't get it. Right. So I could have been over there being mad, like, he ain't even calling on, he ain't checking on me, and having some internal battle when I just needed to communicate it. And
Yeah.
he could do it or not.
Right.
We So when we give men, when we let them know what we need, if
They
they
get
don't,
to choose
they
what they want to say or not. Absolutely.
get to choose if they can deliver. And then if
Yeah.
they can't, it would have been off to the next because I had other people that were right there.
You are
So
hilarious.
yeah. So that is, so now it's a default almost.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
very attentive. He's very attentive, which I love. Mhm.
That's so funny. It's and there are men who want their partners to feel needed and loved, but the partner's like, I don't need all of that. So you really got to know what the love language is.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Wow, wow. Thank you for sharing your truth, though.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Laverne says, this week's Cheeseburger Chronicles, laugh out loud. My husband says, where are you going? I say to a meeting. He says, what kind of meeting? I say a business meeting. He wants to know what kind of meeting. Maybe he's feeling like you ain't home enough. Maybe he's feeling like you've been arguing enough. And he's like, maybe she's not really going to a meeting, but it's a meeting of the something else other than the business meeting. Maybe he's trying to tell you, I'm starting to feel some kind of way because you're always not home. I'm just making assumptions,
Well,
Laverne.
so but the interest so my girlfriends, we travel a lot. And this year we're going to Nigerian Fashion Week. And so my
Mhm.
girlfriend is yes, Marguerite, that only child thing it's a big thing in relationship and how you show
Mhm.
up. But
Mhm.
so I'm like, yeah, we're going to Nigeria. And he keeps saying, well, you didn't tell me about that. And I'm like, oh, I thought I did. But okay, but I'm telling you now. Um,
Mhm.
and then he kept saying it. So I finally had to say, now, do you have a problem with me going? Because you're commenting on it more than you normally do
Mhm.
when I go on vacation
Mhm.
with my girlfriends. So is there something that you're feeling? And he was like, no, he wasn't. But I guess we didn't like maybe sit down and formally kind of go
Yeah.
over like these are the year's
Mhm.
vacations and and all that. And the last two big vacations that we've done with my girlfriends, they have been co-ed. So our husbands were able to come. So it's been actually since 2022 that I've taken a long vacation out of the country without him. So he
Mm.
was feeling a little something about that. And I was like, hey, you can come.
That's so interesting because my husband was usually saying, "Go on, go on, go on." This time I'm hearing him say things like, "Should I come with you? Am I invited?" I'm like, "Well, Ninja, you never wanna." That's in my head, and he's listening, so I know he's gonna be like, "But Ninja, you never want to come." But I'm like, "All right, come on, let's go." So now we're doing more things together. I've spent more time with him in the last month than I probably have in a
Mhm.
long time because he's always just go on and do you. Now I think he's feeling a
Yeah,
whole lot more
we're
protective.
but we're getting older.
Yeah,
And, Tracy's always like, I got less in front of me than I do behind me.
yeah. Hmm.
And so having those experiences and spending those moments together and
Hmm.
long periods of time without each other is probably, you know, he's
Hmm.
thinking about
Yeah. So Laverne says, so we're talking about the alpha female. Thoughts about this term, ladies? You think we're alpha female? Do you think you're an alpha female?
Well, so I know that there's some negative connotation around
Hmm.
what that
Hmm.
is. I am definitely a submissive wife who lets her husband lead.
Hmm. Hmm.
However, I'm not going to let him lead us into a ditch because
Hmm.
I have brains. I,
No, the hell you did not say that.
I'm just saying, it's not like every single decision your husband makes is the right decision.
Right,
And when
no, right. Hmm.
I'm not saying right, like Tracy doesn't make good decisions, but I'm saying like we're in the middle of a we're in the middle of a business negotiation right now, and I keep like checking in, like we're not just
Hmm.
Tracy's an entrepreneur, and it's like we'll figure it out and all that, and yes, but there's a financial investment. We're
Hmm.
older. The ability to recoup is different. When
Hmm.
I used to work and make X dollars, we could be like, oh, okay, well, I can work and make, don't. So we don't have that safety net. So we need to be thoughtful and having conversations. And I'm not ill equipped to
Hmm.
contribute to the conversation so that we can come to an agreement and an understanding that we both can feel good about. And so I feel
Hmm.
good about it moving forward, but I want to make sure like, hey, like I understand this entrepreneurship spirit of, we'll figure it out, we'll jump out the plane and build the parachute on the way down. But we, at this age, we're in a good space. We
Yeah,
don't want to have something derail us. So let's think through all of it.
yeah.
And he respects that. And I think husbands should. And so, does that make me an alpha female? You know,
So
I
let me
guess.
give you the definition of an alpha
Mhm.
female. An alpha female is a term used to describe a woman who is confident, assertive, and often takes on leadership roles. She is typically independent, self assured, and not afraid to express her opinions or pursue her goals. The term can also be associated with traits like ambition, resilience, and strong social skills.
That's
Alpha
me.
female over here. I'm
That's
not
me.
even.
Yeah, that's me. That
Yeah.
is me.
Yeah, it is what it is. So
That's
let
me.
me do the last five because we did the first five. Number six is so this is how to end arguments fast, 10 proven ways to diffuse tension early. Number six is set boundaries ahead of time, which is what you did, right? You knew what you wanted, knew what you expected. And if you didn't tell him, but you were sitting there sucking salt through a wooden spoon, like he's not giving me what I need, but you're not expressing within what you need. So I
Right.
applaud you for doing that. It says focus on solutions, not blame.
Mm-hmm.
Know when to take a break, assume good intentions, and build emotional intelligence. Yep, all of that makes a difference. I would say that Mr. and I work on all of these. My biggest issue is the face. What's your tone and body language? He says, Andrea, your tone.
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. He's Andrea. Sit down somewhere until you get your tone
I
together.
think my tone is okay. And I realize, and I get it from our staff.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell our manager I hurt their feelings, and I'm like, what? I just wasn't even thinking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I can have. I think it's why people are surprised. They used to be surprised that I was from California. I think there is a sunshine California lightness about me, but then
Yeah.
I think there's also an East Coast edge.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm very comfortable with, and is why I love the East Coast because I don't have to think about everything I'm saying so that I won't
Right.
hurt somebody's
Yeah.
feelings. But I recognize, and especially with this generation,
Yes. Sensitive as
they're,
hell.
they're sensitive. Yeah, they're sensitive. So you know, I have to work on not saying it plain.
You know what's so interesting? I have a group of, they call themselves Diva Daughters. They're the ones that named me Mother. When they have something going on in their lives, they go to my husband first.
Mm.
Every single solitary time. And I say, wait, well, why don't they were like, Mother? You're like, well, did you do this? And he coaches them through how they should approach me. And so the other day, he was talking, so funny. He was talking to our daughter, and he said something to me. So when she called me yesterday morning, I said, Father said, da 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 da. She was like, well, dang. I said, so explain to me what's happening. So she explained. It's so funny. And I was with my youngest sister on Sunday. There's something in our lawful genes. We're so assertive. We're speaking to you in love, but it comes out as such assertion, like this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do. And every time I hang out with my sisters, I apologize to my husband. Every single time without fail. Because I see myself outside of myself.
Yes, that's another one. Not seeing yourself. That's so funny. Alexandra just says sunshine mixed with a little hurricane.
Hurricane.
That over here.
Mm,
But yes, it is when you see yourself, and that was also me seeing my mother
mm,
kind of judgmental, having something to say about everybody, all those things. I was like, wow, I do not want to be like that. Once I kind of got out of the home and then kind of started coming, back, like I'm working, I have my own home. And then I'm like, and she like, sister so and so, da 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 da. And I can't believe this girl's pregnant. And I'm like,
ooh, gotta be mine. Yes, honey. Yes.
you know,
Yeah. But it's so good that you saw that and was able to navigate and manage through that.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yeah,
really, that was
yeah.
really good, Sheree.
And it's one thing that Tracy and I have to really work on because he historically has not been a good communicator. You know, he can sit in something and just be quiet. Um, and in relationships past hasn't always handled that well from the standpoint of like, I'm just gonna go over here, you know, to get this need met or whatever. And so we work fiercely on making sure that we create the space for each other to communicate. I'm checking in.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is okay. Just
Mm-hmm.
because I can be a dominant, I'm a communicator.
Mm-hmm.
So, whenever there's a family thing or whatever, I'm I'm gonna communicate.
Mm-hmm.
They pussyfoot around stuff sometimes. No, let's talk about it. Because that's the only way we're gonna get it resolved.
Absolutely.
That's the only way we're gonna get it resolved.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I
Don't, I have to ask you this question. Do you sometimes, I don't want to use the word resentment. Are you sometimes concerned that you have to be the heavy in all the things that need to be this
well,
open?
sometimes yes, sometimes, and I don't think I resent it, but sometimes,
Yes.
and I, whether it's, when we talk to people about relationship and our relationship and just things like that, people always looking at me. I'm like, don't be looking at me. I know I'm more communicative, so I think I'm easier to correct.
Yes.
Being quiet is not
There
what
you go.
is not healthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get on him
Mm-hmm.
about communication too.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we talk
Mm-hmm.
about that. And sometimes I say, I'm not going to drive this. I need you, like your level of interest in making this thing happen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to put it on you to drive. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because I want to know, how invested you are in modifying this behavior or tweaking this
Mm-hmm.
thing or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And so, yeah. And we have had a patch where it was tough to navigate it,
Mm-hmm.
very tough to navigate it.
Yeah.
But we worked through it.
It's so funny how we put ourselves out front and main to talk about our idiosyncrasies, and because we want people to see that this thing called life by itself without relationships is a difficult one to navigate. And to Cherie's point, we pick up the behaviors of family members, familial people that have been in our spaces since we were born, unrecognizing it. And the fact that you recognize it makes me appreciate and respect you more, because oftentimes we see that shiggity in front of our faces and well, this is who I am. This is who I am. This is my mother. This is my father. This is who I am. And I'm not going to shift and change. But when you recognize that it's impacting people in a way that is unhealthy, then you have to take the opportunity and the time to sift through, because we have said this over and again. It is not about us projecting outward to the people in front of us, it's about us coming inwardly and speaking our truths and knowing who we are as people and how we impact those around us. That is adulting in a way many people are not willing and able to do. And so
Mm.
when you speak your truth, like I remember the first time you said, listen, I'm an only child. To thy own self be true. I hollered. I said, Cherie is sick into this. She's like, I am not. I am an only child. I am going to be who I be. And this is how it is. And so people understand without going, oh my God, I can't believe you. You spoke your truth.
Yeah. Um, and I don't want to do harm to anyone, and I don't want to,
Yes.
I always want to try to have healthy engagement, healthy relationships, but I recognize I may not be for everyone.
There
I
you
don't have
go.
I don't have any ill intent. I don't have,
Mm-hmm.
any of that, but I
Mm-hmm.
may not be for everyone. Partially because it has more to do with them not doing their stuff than
Mm-hmm.
me, because I'm never going to knowingly and do anything to harm anyone in what I
Mm-hmm.
say or how I move or what I do, and am always open. I mean, I apologize to my staff. It's gotten better because I realized that this is different. I used to apologize to them all the time. I'm so sorry. I had to give them hugs. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
sorry. But
Mm-hmm.
also I am used to being in a very high functioning, high like environment, where everyone is kind of
Mm-hmm.
thick skinned and because they've navigated life a bit, or when you're in med school and you're doing your
Mm-hmm.
residency, you've been hazed and you've been
Mm-hmm.
this, you got to get through it, and all that stuff. So I recognize that I bring, I'm force, and I bring that in
Mm-hmm.
spaces, and so I don't have to change, but I do have to modify and navigate a little bit differently because I want to, and I know the value of me doing that.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
more from doing that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
again, everybody's not for me, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
shift shaping like to
Mm-hmm.
be somebody different to fit into
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Yeah.
But I can always make sure that I adjust the brightness
Mm-hmm.
because that confidence is like, it is like kryptonite to some people.
So therein lies the issue. So I will walk into a room and say absolutely nothing other than hello, and that energy
Oh,
shifts them all over. And I'm going, so I'm not speaking, and it's still a problem. Can
when
you just
I
tell
was
me?
younger, that was a big thing. Oh, she like, oh my gosh. So I've learned to just own that,
Yeah, you have to,
and I'm okay
right?
with it.
Walk in kindness, treat people well always, but don't dim, you know, like with these teacups. Not everybody's meant to steep within them, right? And so what we cannot do is force everybody to like us. There's some people who are going to like us and some people that are not. Um, and you just move on and go do what you have to do. It's whatever their thing is. If they don't want to share what that thing is, there's nothing you can do. And you really shouldn't spend a whole lot of energy worrying about that kind of stuff anyway, because life, there's so many other people out here that are looking to do what we're doing and to move in that direction and to help folks as we move along the way. I just love, I
And
thank.
and that was also a relationship thing. Like Tracy, like almost my other relationships, there was some fracture in them
Mm-hmm.
that didn't allow me to us to coexist in a healthy way to allow me to be me. In some
Mm-hmm.
capacity, I had to dim down to be able to be in healthy partnership.
Yeah.
But Tracy be like, shine bright, baby. And that's how my dad
Yeah.
was. My dad was like, shine bright, burn them. I don't care. Shine bright. Do not let anybody dim your light.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that also attracting a person who can, to your point, allow you to be
Mhm.
your most authentic self,
Absolutely.
and appreciate
Absolutely.
that. So yeah.
I mean it's almost 7:30, but I wanted to share this part with you. To your point, I was dating someone many moons ago. I was still in my 20s, and we had gone to a party, and people were talking to me, and I was running around the space. It was an outdoor thing, laughing and talking to everybody. When we got back home, he screamed at me, "You are to sit like the other Jamaican women and not talk to anybody. What are you doing? Who do you?" And I was like, "Wait, what, bruh? What are you saying to me?"
Hmm.
And then that fool had the nerve to ask me to marry him. I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Nope, not today. Not on your best dream. Not in your. It's so weird. Like he thought should just sit there like the other Jamaican women and say nothing. Just wait until people come over and talk to us. People were talking to me. I was walking around the room. Da 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 da. Same thing in my first marriage. She says you walk into a room and everybody wants to talk to you, from the chef on. I feel like you're going to do something with your life and leave me in the. I'm like, wait, what? Poor me. I was all of 23. I
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I mean? What are you talking about?
Right.
And so these are the things we have to be very mindful not to allow anybody to take from us what we naturally bring to earth, to the
Mhm.
table.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Right. So
I'm with you.
it's important. It's really important. And the assumptions that I was running even today, she runs the man. My husband, let me tell you, my husband is not a pushover.
No, mine isn't either. Not
But
in
just
any.
because he's quiet doesn't mean that I'm telling him everything to do. He'd be looking at me going, "We're doing this. I'm going to do that. You do this. You do," and I go, "Okay,
All Tracy has to do is say, "I'm not doing that," and I know, like, it's not. I'm not even gonna. I'm not gonna even gonna convince him. I'm
yep,
not.
it's over. It's
It's
there.
like,
There you go.
don't say it loud. He just is like, "I'm not doing that."
Yep, that's my husband. That's my husband. So we had to just learn how to negotiate, compromise, give and take. And in
Mhm.
10 years, I've learned to just kind of, all right, I know his facial expressions. I know when something doesn't sit right with him. I know when he says certain things that I have to just, okay, back up, girl. Sit
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Back up and sit
Tracy's
down.
quiet, but he's a different kind of quiet. There's
Yes.
something, you know.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it feels a little distant, and I'm like, hey, we're close.
Yes. Says good morning, kisses me, but don't talk to me for the rest of the day. Dude, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Can we fix this right now? Because you already know I am not about that life, right? So
Mhm.
it's so interesting that when we don't pick up those cues and we make it just all about ourselves and not recognizing that there's a whole marriage here and we got to work within that marriage. Oh Lord. But you know what? I'm so grateful to you. Thank you, my sister. Tell people how they can find you.
You know, they can find us at 5021 Baltimore Avenue at Booker's Restaurant and Bar. We are there every day, all
Hmm.
day.
Hmm. Yeah.
Monday through Monday, 10 to 10. We take a little break in the afternoon to switch over
Hmm.
from brunch to dinner. But we have
Hmm.
a Sunday supper on Sundays with live music, and we have live music on Fridays as well. So Friday, happy hour, you get a free concert and Baltimore.
How was the summer going for you in terms of business? People are still coming and doing what they
The
need to
summer
do?
is good. Summer we always have a lull because not always, but the restaurants have a lull in the summertime in the East Coast because so many people go to the shore
Correct.
and to the Hamptons and all that stuff. So anyone who's home and local, come on out.
Yeah. All right, my sister.
Get
It's
us
always good.
because we're in University City. A lot of students are gone, so
Yes. Oh yeah, that's
we
true.
need our
That's true.
locals and our tourists to come on in during this
Yes.
period of time into the fall.
All right, now going over 5031 Baltimore Avenue. My hair is a hot mess. Thank you so much, my sister. I will
Absolutely.
not be on next week, so there will be no, love is segment, but the week after that we will. All right. Happy July 4th to you.
Thank
You may see my husband and I pop on through. Sometimes we come in there, you're not there, but that's fine. You don't need to be there. We'll just do
I
the
appreciate that. You got people talking about when y'all gonna be there.
yeah,
When
well,
we
man.
go. Just go.
We don't care. We just get up and show up. Okay. All right, my darling. Have a good one. Okay. Talk
Thank
to you
you, everyone.
soon.
Have a
All right.
great day.
All right. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. We are getting to the end of this week, and tomorrow we should have another representative from the Philadelphia Housing Authority in our media partnership with them. And after that, I am done for a week. I am so looking forward to this vacation time. I am tired and I can feel it. And I just, I don't want to give you half of who I am. So I'm grateful that all of you were on this morning for the Love Is segment. I'm grateful that you continue to stay on. Season 3, episode 3 of the podcast is on. That episode is doing really well with E. Marie Lambert and her husband. Talk about marriage and what to expect from it. And so we went to this and that on Substack, Apple, and Spotify. We're deliberate in choosing the platforms that we're using because we just don't want to be all over the place. Sometimes we try to saturate too much and we miss. So we give people 3 specific places where they can go, which then builds, folks to come on to Substack. I continue to see those of you joining me, joining Substack either as a paid or a free subscriber. We appreciate your continuing to join us there. My ultimate goal is to get off of these 2 platforms, Facebook and Instagram. I'm inviting you to come on over to YouTube because this is where I am. This is where you'll see all the guests. That is deliberate. I'm trying to pull you. A.LawfulTruth Enterprises. Come on over here. You can see and hear a whole lot better what's going on here. And so, and then on Substack, I'll be doing a lot more there. I will also be posting a whole lot more on my website. So as things start to shift and change in our society around everything that's going on, you'll always be able to find me. There's a method to the madness. I'm always forward thinking because I don't want you to look up one day and go, oh my God, you disappeared. I've been telling you this since January. We're moving into different spaces so that we'll always have a space for you to find us, okay? This episode of Mornings with Mo is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.